Hello guys, it's Weebopins here, You Come Weebs, and this is the 7th episode of Weebu Deathmatch. This deathmatch is between Alucard from Hellsing and Dio Brando from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Let's get into this. Before getting into the deathmatch, let's go over the rules of Weebu Deathmatch as always. Fair matchups, can abilities, and the best fighter wins overall. Anyway, with that being said, I thought I'd touch on which version of Dio I'll be using. I'll be using Dio from Stardust Crusaders and Dio from Phantom Blood. I'm not using Dio from Part 7, I'm not using Dio Over Heaven or Ascended Heaven Dio, because that's an alternate version of Dio. I'm using the original Dio. Good old normal Dio, regular Dio. I'm using composite version of Dio as well. For those of you that don't know what a composite version of a character is, a composite version of a character is basically a character with all of their abilities from everything that they've been in. And for Dio, it's Stardust Crusaders and Phantom Blood. So Dio being his vampire abilities, but also being his stand as well. Just thought I'd point it out there for those of you that don't know what a composite is. And quite frankly, I didn't know either until I really started getting deep into like battleboarding communities, so it's fine. It's not really a general term. Anyway, let's get into this matchup, starting off with Alucard from Hellsing.
ついに会えたな、ディオ。
Haha, you thought it was gonna be Alucard, but it was really Dio. Dio wants to rule the world, which is kind of ironic. As I go over Dio, I'll be going over Dio and his stand. For those of you that don't know what a stand is basically a part of somebody's soul that stands next to them, hence what I call the stand. Now, this stand can have various abilities, and honestly, stands can be other things as well, such as boats and other bullshit. It's become a very complex part of the whole JoJo series at this point, where stands are basically just wherever the fuck they need to be for the sake of plot. And honestly, they're very interesting, and I love the idea of stands. I wish I had a stand that could stand by me. Oh god, I should edit this out. I'm gonna keep this joke in. It's terrible, but I think it's pretty funny. Anyway, stands basically are a part of somebody's soul that extends out and has an ability of some sorts. It depends what it is. Dio's stand is called the world, or what Dio likes to say, the world though. As I go over Dio and his abilities, I'll be going over the world as well, and kind of doing like a whole back-to-back kind of thing when it comes to analyzing their stats and abilities. But let's talk about Dio. Dio is an interesting case because Dio became a vampire in part 1 in Phantom Blood. And when Dio became a vampire, he had a lot of boost to his normal abilities. Before Dio was a vampire, he was already pretty much a force to be reckoned with in terms of human abilities. I'll kind of brush over Dio before he was a vampire, since it's not really that important, but it allows you to get a good idea of who Dio was, or at least what kind of person Dio was before he became a vampire, and the boost that he got from his vampire abilities. Dio was pretty athletic, actually. He was pretty strong. He was able to shrug off about a few men that were trying to tackle him playing rugby. He's able to run pretty quickly. He's able to also match Jonathan in boxing, who is considered to be a really great boxer. He's also really smart. He's able to pick up things pretty quickly. Pre-vampire Dio, pretty smart and pretty athletic. However, Dio was merely just a human at this point, so when Dio became a vampire, things became very different. So let's start looking into all of Dio's stats. As Dio became a vampire, he became very powerful, honestly. Scaling off of the other vampires within the series, at least the first vampire we see in the series, this vampire was able to break an entire wall by just punching it with a broken hand. Dio easily scales to that, seeing as Dio is above your average human already. So if Dio getting a vampire boost to his abilities, I want to say that Dio is wall level, easily. Especially seeing as after Dio gets his abilities, he's able to hang off buildings with just one hand. He's also able to kick his feet into walls to climb up them. He's also easily able to rip off the heads of humans and stuff like that, and limbs, and rip his hands through people's bodies. It's very clear how much more powerful Dio becomes within the series, but I want to say wall level at best. Star Platinum will be referenced a lot when it comes to scaling the world, seeing as we don't really see how much the world can actually do. But based off the Star Platinum scaling, the world's also able to break Diamond, punch a man for his car, punch an entire group of men inside of a car up into the air before they actually run into a truck, and also able to punch a cave. So it's fair to say that the world is small building level. Some people may try to argue for it being large building level, but I don't really see it, and I don't want to say it's anywhere higher than that, of anything. So small building level is where I put the world at in terms of strength, and Dio I put at wall level based off the scaling. Anyway, moving on to Dio's speed, Vampire Dio is compared to being as fast as a Cheetah by a Speedwagon. I can accept this seeing as he's also able to blitz a bunch of cops as well, so Vampire Dio is pretty quick and pretty fast. However, here's where things become a little bit complex when we move on to the world speed. Now, the world stands by Dio, so therefore the world isn't really moving anywhere, honestly. However, we're looking at the world's reaction speed and combat speed. This is where things become a little complex. I want to say this now. I don't think the world, Silver Chariot, nor Star Platinum are faster than light. Here's why. Everyone scales the world and Star Platinum off of Silver Chariot and the Hangman feat. I do want to legitimately say, regardless what you think, Polar Reef and Silver Chariot do have a legitimate faster than light speed feat. Cutting the Hangman, no matter if they knew where it was going to go, it's still a faster than light feat. You still had to be able to hit it while it was traveling faster than light. It's a legitimate speed feat. However, this is why I don't accept that Silver Chariot is faster than the speed of light. It doesn't make any sense. If Silver Chariot was faster than light, then the Emperor or Whole Horse, his bullet wouldn't be an issue for Polnareff at all. Polnareff should be able to easily cut the bullet in half and be on his way and defeat Whole Horse. However, that's not the case. And because it's not the case, I don't want to sit here and say that Polnareff is faster than light, therefore Silver Chariot's not faster than light, therefore not Star Platinum, nor the world. I do want to say that Silver Chariot is easily bullet timing, probably a little bit faster. A weakened depowered Silver Chariot was able to block bullets. Now these are pistol bullets, so they're not as fast as rifle bullets, but still. A depowered Silver Chariot was able to block bullets coming at it from about close range. Considering the fact that Polnareff and his stand was weakened at that point, it's easy to say that Silver Chariot is easily able to block away bullets and smack them away like they're nothing. And scaling off of that, the world is easily able to block bullets, which puts it around the hypersonic range. That is perfectly fine. That counts for combat speed, but also reaction speed as well, so the world is pretty quick on its feet. Well, pretty quick with its hands. Another thing to consider is that speed doesn't really matter to the world, nor does it really matter to Dio against people that can't move and stop time. The world has the ability to stop time for about 11 seconds. With the ability to stop time, the entire concept of speed or being faster than light or being faster than anything doesn't matter, because nothing can move but Dio in the world in the stop time. Therefore, you can easily say that the speed for the world and Dio is unmeasured while time is stopped. Dio is pretty smart. Moving on to his intelligence, we kind of get a good idea how smart Dio is already in the beginning of the series. He's able to manipulate and scheme plans. He even lied to Jonathan for a few years and made him think he was his friend. Dio is very sly, clever, and sneaky, and he'll do anything he can to achieve his goals. And when he became a vampire, he had the ability to use hypnosis at this point as well. But Dio has always had charm and always had the ability to persuade people to his side and fight for his causes for him. Dio is pretty above average in terms of his intelligence. I wouldn't say he's a genius per se, but he definitely is a really smart cookie. Anyway, moving on to Dio's conditioning, things are interesting. Dio is a vampire, and because he's a vampire, there's a few things that should be noted. Dio is almost unkillable for the most part. He can survive as long as his head is intact and his brain is able to function. Dio can survive. He also can't seem to feel pain as well. However, Dio can be damaged, and this happens throughout the entire series. Dio can take damage. How much attacking power until Dio faces any damage? I'd say small building level. Dio has pretty decent durability overall, and Dio can take some pretty big hits and heal from them and keep on moving on like nothing's happened. However, with his regenerative abilities, because he's a vampire, it doesn't really matter too much. And moving on to Dio's stamina is pretty much unlimited. Dio's a vampire and he doesn't get as tired as a normal person. He keep on spamming attacks and shit. Perfectly fine, and he's perfectly well. His heart doesn't give out, his lungs don't get tired or anything. Dio is in a constant state of being healed because he's a vampire. He has unlimited stamina, pretty much it. Moving on to Dio's abilities, Dio has the ability to use a freeze touch kind of ability, where basically if he touches you, your body part turns into ice, it freezes, it cracks and shatters, and boom, it's gone. Dio also has amazing hand-to-hand combat ability that I mentioned earlier. The world has the ability to stop time and also progressively increase that time depending on how much the world is actually used. So the world is adapting each time Dio time stops. So starting off with 11 seconds, Dio will progressively keep on gaining seconds to stop time as he uses the world. Dio also has hypnosis and other small abilities as well, such as laser eyes that can easily rip through stone pillars. So Dio has some pretty good abilities going on for him here. But anyway, let's move on to Dio's weaknesses. Here are a few of Dio's weaknesses. Dio is very cocky, and if he feels like he's ahead, then he'll take advantage of it. He'll also tease and manipulate his opponents as well. Dio will play around with his opponents. He's like a lion. He'll play with his food before he eats it. This is a character flaw of Dio. Now, would this really factor much into the battle? To some degree, yes, because character personalities do factor in my Weaver Deathmatches. How a character acts, or at least how I think they would act, factor into what would happen to them in a battle. This is a weakness for Dio. Another weakness for Dio is that he doesn't really have the time stop for long. He's also not really able to keep on spamming or at least using time stop indefinitely. Dio has to take a few seconds off between each time stop before he can use it again. And this could leave him vulnerable for attacks that are fast enough to hit him in the span of a few seconds. Another thing to note with Dio is is that he cannot heal unless he has blood. If he takes too much damage, then he won't be able to recover from it unless he has blood around him. And considering that this is a Weeble Deathmatch and there are no other civilians or anything around him, if Dio takes enough damage, he won't be able to really heal from it and he'll be fucked. And this is seen in part 1 when the mansion burns down and Dio gets caught in it. It takes him some time before he's able to heal himself. So Dio can take some pretty heavy damage, and it can affect him greatly depending on if he has people around or not. I'm not going to give Dio that kind of advantage by putting people all around within the Weeble Deathmatch, because that's kind of unfair. Another thing to note, but not really a big factor when it comes to the Weeble Deathmatch, is that Sunlight is lethal to somebody like Dio. Sunlight can really fuck Dio up. Seriously, it can kill him. They'll be fighting until the sun comes up, and then Dio's gonna die in the sunlight. No, it's not gonna do any of that here. So that's all of Dio's weaknesses. Now let's finally move on to Alucard from Hellsing.
一体どんなやつなんだ。
化け物。特に吸血鬼に関してならそう。誰よりもエキスパートですよ。
いい夜だ。こんな夜だ。血も吸いたくなるさ。ああ、静かで本当にいい夜だ。
Alucard, the No Life King. Before getting to the analysis of Alucard, I kind of do want to touch on a few terms I'll be using when I'm talking about Alucard. There's base Alucard, level 1 Alucard, and level 0 Alucard. Now, we really don't have any numbers as to how strong Alucard becomes as he enters a different level. However, we can assume that he becomes stronger and faster as he enters a new level. Level 1 Alucard being stronger than base Alucard, and level 0 Alucard being stronger than level 1 Alucard. And that's all we really have here. I'll try to touch on them a little bit more as we go through explaining what Alucard can do, but I just want to provide some context for these terms I'm going to be using as I talk about Alucard and his abilities. Anyway, let's get into the analysis. Starting off with power, I want to say that Alucard is small building level. Base this off of Alucard's fight with the Dandyman. And the Dandyman was easily able to destroy cars, he's able to rip through humans, and is able to also destroy a small building when he's fighting Alucard in his level 1 state. The Dandyman is pretty powerful, and this is where I'm scaling most of Alucard's power from. Alucard was easily able to rip through the Dandyman's cards and the Dandyman's arm and body just in his level 1. In his level 0, he's probably able to do way more than that. We can even say Alucard is the large building level, however, that's based off of merely speculation and not based off of what we've seen from Alucard. And I want to say that Alucard is small building level, seeing as he's able to deal with the Dandyman with almost no issues in his level 1. Another thing to note is that Alucard also has a gun called the Jackal, and the Jackal contains 13mm armor-piercing explosive rounds. These things are powerful, and they're able to rip through almost anything, even blowing off limbs of people like Alexander Anderson, who scales to Alucard in terms of durability. So it's pretty powerful that he can do a lot of damage, but that'll be brought to light a little bit more as I get into Alucard's durability when I touch on his conditioning. However, we're going to move on to Alucard's speed. Alucard is pretty fast, however, Alucard just sits around and takes a lot of attacks for the most part. However, Alucard is very capable at moving at a speed where he can block bullets. I'm going to sit here and say Alucard is hypersonic, and this is scaling off of Ceres, who was able to dodge bullets in a depowered vampire state. Ceres was not a full-fledged vampire at this point within the series, and she was able to dodge bullets. Alucard, being her master and being a superior vampire, is probably easily able to dodge bullets as well. But also someone like Luke Valentine was also able to dodge bullets, and Alucard was superior to him as well. So much to the point that Alucard was able to defeat Luke and make him into a familiar. I'm pretty sure Luke didn't do that willingly, and Alucard only did this within his level 1. Alucard in his level 0 should be significantly faster than that. However, we're going to settle once more for Alucard in his level 1 being fast enough to block bullets. Another thing to note is that Rip Van Winkle was able to shoot her gun and manipulate the bullet's trajectory and where the bullets went. And Alucard was able to catch one of these bullets with his fucking teeth and stop it. These bullets were shooting down things like Apache helicopters like they were nothing. It even shot down the Blackbird Alucard was in later in the series, and Alucard caught it with his fucking teeth. I want to add that to Alucard's power, but also Alucard's durability, and again, I'll touch on that a little bit later, but Alucard is easily able to dodge bullets like they're nothing. Moving on to Alucard's intelligence. Alucard is pretty smart. Or at least he has to be. Alucard has existed for years upon years, and he's also very tactical when it comes to fighting as well. He's able to easily gauge his opponents, how strong they are, and also find means of defeating them, even though that usually consists of just shooting them until they're dead. Alucard is just smart. And considering the fact that he's been around for 2 wars and centuries fighting people, I want to say Alucard has a lot of experience and he's easily above average in terms of intelligence. So with that being stated, we're going to move on to Alucard's conditioning. Alucard's conditioning is where things get very interesting for someone like Alucard. Alucard has 3.5 million souls within him. 3.5 million souls within his body. With that being established, Alucard is not invincible per se, but to defeat Alucard, you need to get rid of every single soul within Alucard. And the thing is, Alucard has some pretty decent durability. Alucard is easily able to survive a nosedive from a blackbird, he's able to take shots and bullets, he's able to be stabbed, be decapitated, have his limbs ripped off, and everything. Alucard has probably been through everything, and he survived it. And Alucard has pretty decent durability. I'm gonna say Alucard's durability is around small building level, if anything at the very least. And this is usually Alucard within his level 1. Another thing to note is that Alucard was also smashed through buildings in his fight with Walter, so Alucard has some pretty decent durability. And for those of you thinking I'm not going to talk about Schrodinger, I am, but give me a second. He can still take damage, and the amount of damage he needs to take usually has to be around small building level for him to take some serious damage. Moving on to Alucard's stamina, it's essentially unlimited. It's the same situation with Dio. Nothing can really stop Alucard. He doesn't get tired, and he's fought in 2 wars, and he actually fought all 3.5 million of his souls within a 30-year time span. So Alucard has some pretty decent high stamina. It's pretty much unlimited because he's a vampire. But anyway, let's move on to Alucard's other abilities as well. Alucard's other abilities consist of him being able to accurately hit a target from about 100 meters away. He wiped out an entire city with his familiar army. Alucard has familiars, and these familiars are Rip Van Winkle. Alucard also has Luke Valentine, who is very quick and very fast and able to actually speed blitz 4 soldiers who were shooting at him. He dodged their bullets and killed them without them knowing. But also the Dandy Man, who's able to destroy things with the cards that he uses. So Alucard has some pretty powerful familiars, but he also has a familiar named Basker who's able to eat an entire person whole. Alucard has 3.5 million souls that are able to just run amok throughout an entire city. Alucard's pretty powerful. Another familiar that Alucard has, though, is Schrodinger. Here's the thing about Schrodinger. Schrodinger is confusing because it wasn't explained very clearly within the series, but you can manage to get this much from Schrodinger. As long as you believe that you exist, you exist. If you believe you don't exist, you don't exist. That's Schrodinger. It's like Schrodinger's cat. You don't know what's inside the box, but there are 2 possibilities. The cat is dead or the cat is not dead. And that's what essentially Schrodinger is that Schrodinger can exist as long as Schrodinger wants to exist. I'm not counting Schrodinger for this Weeble Deathmatch. I should, but I'm not. Because Schrodinger kind of makes the deathmatch weird. Schrodinger kind of confuses things a little bit, so I'm not going to include Schrodinger within this Weeble Deathmatch. But I did want to mention Schrodinger for people that are wondering, well, Alucard can just use Schrodinger and he can't die. Even doesn't matter if he destroys all 3.5 million souls, he can't die. No, Schrodinger doesn't count and won't be included within this Weeble Deathmatch in the conclusion for it. Alucard also has hypnosis as well, if anybody was curious about that. But yeah, Alucard has his familiars, his large army, his level 0, and that's Alucard. But anyway, moving on to Alucard's weaknesses, he doesn't really seem to have any. Sunlight doesn't really kill him, it kind of just pisses him off. He's able to phase through things, but he doesn't really use the ability too much. I'd say Alucard just kind of forgets about his abilities, but he also seems to take a lot of attacks to kind of gauge his opponents, or at least entertain them to entertain himself. So Alucard kind of plays around with his opponents and his immortality because I guess he's kind of bored of living. But anyway, let's move on to the results of this Weeble Deathmatch. The results and the winner of this Weeble Deathmatch is... Alucard from Hellsing. These guys are even in almost every single regard. This really boiled down to a battle of abilities more than anything else. Their abilities are literally what determined the tides of war for this battle, and who could overwhelm who first. And at the end of the day, Alucard can easily overwhelm Dio. Here's the problem with Dio. His durability, or at least his vampire healing factor, relies way too much on other people, relies on consuming the blood of somebody. Alucard is good as long as he has souls in his reserves, and here's the thing. The second between Dio's time stops would have got him fucked over every single time. He would have taken heavy damage from someone like Alucard, who was able to do some damage to Dio easily. 3.5 million souls is a lot. 3.5 million enemies is a lot, even for Dio, and Dio would get overwhelmed very quickly. The pauses between the time stops would allow Alucard enough time to easily attack and tag Dio to the point where he would just wear down his durability, and Dio would be fucking done. It wouldn't matter. And the world would be destroyed as well, because as long as Alucard kills Dio, the world is out of the picture. Even if the world just keeps on blitzing the shit out of Alucard every single chance it got, even with extended time, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't be enough time. And that's what determined the entire tide of war here. It's not that Dio doesn't have the means of defeating Alucard, he does. However, it's going to take a lot of time to do it. Theoretically speaking, let's say Dio could keep time stop going for as long as he wanted to. Dio can defeat Alucard, it wouldn't matter at that point. But he would have to stop time, pause time, stop time, pause time to make sure he's killing all 3.5 million souls. He just wouldn't be able to do it in one run because he'd kill him one time, he'd have to unpause so his next soul would come, where he would regenerate, and then he would attack him again. There aren't many instances where Dio could really win this. Alucard would run through Dio. And here's the thing. This matchup seemed great on paper, the idea of it seemed pretty cool. However, it just doesn't work out in Dio's favor after you do the analysis. Alucard easily overwhelms Dio with pure abilities alone. He has enough speed to deal with Dio and not really be troubled too much by the world. His guns are strong enough to do some serious damage to Dio. His hands are able to do some serious damage to Dio. So Dio would get overwhelmed very quickly by all of that. By the gun shooting at him, by Alucard trying to stab at him. It's just not going to go in Dio's favor at the end of the day. And Alucard is smart enough to really deal with someone like Dio. Once he realizes what the world can do, or once he realizes that he's being attacked by something he can't see, then he'll just keep his distance and just tag Dio from distance every chance he got in between the pauses of the time skip. That's all he had to do. And even then, his familiars would be a problem for Dio as well. The world can't deal with multiple enemies at a time. Luke Valentine is easily able to dodge bullets, so he's hypersonic. Rip Van Winkle is able to shoot a gun that can manipulate a bullet's direction, so that's already a problem for the world. They give Alucard with both of his guns shooting at you. And a Dandy Man who's also able to just toss cards that can really fuck your shit up. The world would get overwhelmed. Dio would get overwhelmed. It would just be a complete slaughter. Dio would really be able to cut down a lot of Alucard's souls and be able to do some serious damage to his numbers, but not enough where he can win this fight. And that's simply all there is to it. 3.5 million souls is a lot. Even if you can stop time for like an hour, it's still going to take him some time at his speed. Well, probably not. Now, I'm probably over-exaggerating now. An hour, he can probably get it done. But Dio doesn't have an hour of time, he has seconds. And those seconds do add on, yes, but again, he'd get overwhelmed, and that's really all there is to it. These guys are even in almost every regard, honestly. Their stats are extremely similar. And this could have really went to anyone, but it was simply because Alucard's ability surpasses Dio's. And Alucard is the winner of this Weibo Deathmatch. The result of this Weibo Deathmatch was kind of lackluster, wasn't it? I mean, yeah, it was a bout of abilities, obviously, because these guys are pretty evenly matched, and honestly, I thought it was going to be a tie. Like, before I even, started doing the analysis, I'm like, oh, they're both vampires that can't die, so obviously there's going to be a tie. And there's going to be a stalemate. I don't know why I'm going to do this, but fuck it, it might be fun anyway. Didn't realize Dio's regenerative abilities kind of have, this limit when it comes to blood. Like, he needs blood to keep on keeping on, so if he doesn't have any blood, he's basically fucked, and that's pretty much what happened. Alucard would be able to overwhelm Dio, and that's really it. I know I said that a lot already in the analysis breakdown, but just putting it out there. A lot of people probably don't think that Dio had this kind of limit when it came to his regenerative ability, and I could be wrong. If I am, please correct me in my comments. I welcome people coming in to correct me so I can make sure I'm giving you guys the most accurate results possible when it comes to Weibo Deathmatch. Honestly, if I ever find out that Weibo Deathmatch is entirely wrong and I fucked up entirely with the information, I'll probably just delete it or something, or I'll leave a comment correcting myself. I did that with a previous Weibo Deathmatch already, where I corrected myself. I think it was the Shiro versus Lucy Weibo Deathmatch and the Connect Games Shinichi Weibo Deathmatch. I was wrong with the analysis, but the results are very much the same. Hopefully enjoyed it. If you did, let me know. If you didn't, still let me know, honestly. It'd be interesting to know what you didn't like about it, so I can see if I can improve them for people that don't like them. And people that do like them, well, I'll keep on trying to make them good. I think that's really all I have to say for this one. If I sound sick or if I sound weird in my recording, it's because I'm just a little bit sick and it's kind of hitting me. The rain that recently hit us over here, it just kind of came out of nowhere, so I'm trying to deal with that. But I also said I'm gonna get a Weibo Deathmatch out before the month ends, so working through the cold here to get this video out. But I think that's it. I don't think there's much else to add. It's 2 a.m. as I'm recording this, so I'm gonna get some sleep and start getting ready to edit this. Yeah, I think that's all. Arigato and Jamatane. Oh god, there's a sickness.